Good morning, sheep fans. Cammy's the name, sheep's the game, and something a little bit different here today. That's not Ayrshire, that's Turkey. We've been abroad again, and this time we're on a Euro sheep tour round some Turkish sheep farms. And I'm going to show you around with us. Let's go. Turkey has around 30 million breeding females, which makes it one of the largest sheep farming countries in the world. That's double the 15 million we have here in the UK and 5 million more than in New Zealand. We were only in Turkey for 2 full days, so after a day of classroom inputs, it was good to get out and onto some farms. Our first stop was to see a sheep dairy farm in Bursa. This farm is 7.5 hectares and runs 500 breeding ewes, with 250 replacement females and rams making up their flock of 750. The breed here is Lacan, which is a French breed of dairy sheep that I hope I've pronounced correctly. The ewes are housed all year round in these large open sheds, and there is no grazing of pastures. During breeding, ewes are synchronised and natural mating is practiced, as pregnancy rates to AI were lower than desired. Ewes lamb all year round to ensure a steady supply of milk. Lambs are removed from their mother at birth and given 3 days of colostrum before being trained on automatic milk feeders, and then weaned at 36 to 42 days. The ewes are milked twice daily in a 40-unit parlour. Each ewe is milked for 210 days with an average yield of 380 litres per animal. All of the milk here goes to make cheese, which is a big thing in Turkey, with over 200 different varieties of cheese being produced. All feed is purchased, including alfalfa, grass hay and concentrates. This farm has 4 full-time staff. However, wages here in Turkey are incredibly low compared to the UK. If I understood the information correctly, a shepherd here earns around £6,000 per year, and a lot of that is actually subsidised by the government. Farm visit 1 complete. Next, we're on to a slightly bigger operation in the form of a 2,100 hectare government run farm. This farm plays a key role in the genetic improvement of livestock in Turkey, with performance recording and other testing being used to produce the very best stock rams, which are then sold to farmers throughout Turkey in their annual farm sale. They run around 4,500 breeding sheep here, along with buffalo, cattle, geese and goats. They also have 12 shepherd dogs, which protect the sheep when they're out grazing on the pastures. The sheep here are farmed for meat production, however they use a breed that is more famous for its wool. So we are at the second farm on our stop here, sheep fans, and quite an exciting one for me because we're seeing a breed of sheep I've never seen before, and it is this one here. It's the Merino. Now, I've done lots of shearing videos, of course, as you guys have seen, but I've never actually seen a Merino in the flesh. Quite exciting. And some of you Merino stalwarts might say, Cammy, that's not a proper Merino. It is a German type of Merino with a little bit of Turkish breed in it as well. So it probably isn't this, well, it isn't the same as your Aussie type Merinos. Still Merino though. So still quite interesting for me to see this. Interesting to see those dairy sheep as well. I just love seeing new breeds, because being from the UK, we have so many breeds. You think you've seen them all, and then you come abroad here and every breed is different to anything that we've seen before at home. Really interesting. These sheep here actually scan at 130%. Well, don't scan, he believes the lamb out at 130%, which you guys can tell me for Merinos is probably
quite good, perhaps. Right, you merino experts can tell me a bit more about that.
An interesting thing they do here in Turkey is that during the day they let the ewes out to graze, but keep the lambs inside on creep feeders until they're old enough to start grazing. I found this quite interesting, as I would have thought lambs getting milk little and often was a better way of keeping them growing, but obviously it works for them, and I bet the ewes enjoy a break each day. Lizzie would certainly love a system like that for our boys. Farm 2 complete, now we're going to a puppy farm. This one may be a bit controversial.
I think you're going to like this one, sheep fans. I never know when you come to a setup like this where they're breeding dogs. You never know how good it's going to be, but like, I know the dogs are impressive, so we'll at least see some of them. And you're always on at me whenever there's a dog attack or something happens. Why don't you get a guardian dog? Why don't you get a guardian dog? Well, it just wouldn't work in the UK. We've talked about it before, but they're massive here in Turkey and in this region. So let's look at some.
The Kangal shepherd dog is a traditional Turkish breed of large livestock guardian dog. It is kept with the flocks of sheep to fend off wolves and other predators, and it is thought to have the most powerful bite of all domestic dogs. It is extremely difficult to export these dogs as they are a protected breed here in Turkey. And farms like this one here producing pedigree Kangals are quite common in Turkey.
Oh, there's some wee dogs there, and oh, there's a big dog. What are you saying, pup? What are you saying? Hey. So I just wanted to come next to this dog for scale, because you guys know that you're right, pal, I better just make friends with him first. You can tell I'm nervous. But just for scale, you guys know I'm absolutely massive. So you can imagine how big this guy is. If I lie down here, let me. Hey, you're alright, pal. Like this. You see how big he is? He's about the size of me. He'll be a good few kilos heavier, I would think. Oh jeez. Look at the size of him. This must be the stud dog, I would think. Eh? Couple of stud dogs together. Some size, isn't he? Now, would something like this happen in the UK? Probably not. I mean, it is literally is a puppy farm, but they're breeding a working dog that has a big requirement here in Turkey to protect the sheep from predators such as wolves. They get jackals, they get foxes, and various other predators. Wild dogs as well. There's dogs everywhere, like just round the streets about here. So they do play a key role. All of these cages that you're seeing the footage of here are filled with dogs. Another difference here is the weather. Like, it's warm, it's November, I'm walking about in a t-shirt, it's probably about 20 degrees. They've got plenty of drinking water, big enough pens. I'm sure they're exercised regularly to keep them fit. Barking dog there. That's obviously thinking I'm threatening the sheep. There's other factors that you just couldn't do this in the UK, it was so wet and miserable. And that's probably part of the reason why we can't really have guardian dogs in the UK as well, is like, what a miserable life it'd be from living outside, whereas in climates like this here, the dog lives outside with the sheep all the time, protecting them, so it's no issue having them outside like they do here. I mean, they've all got shelter, to be fair. As what it is, different cultures, and I respect that.
Our final stop in this tour of Turkish farms is to a meat producing farm, pretty much the same as we're all doing back home in the UK. They're still using similar breeds like we've seen already in the video. The one difference here is it's quite an intensive system. This farm only actually owns 50 acres and it's running 1,000 sheep in these massive state-of-the-art sheds, lots of air, lots of space, and some interesting innovation like this conveyor belt for feeding the sheep. One fascinating thing I found out in Turkey is that the price they get for their lamb is similar to what we get in the UK, which with the incredibly low wages and I'm guessing lower inputs means that places like this, if I was to speculate, seem to be owned by wealthy individuals and run like a commercial business. And also, who back home has a monoblocked yard? Now that's luxury.
Well, the light is starting to fade here now, sheep fans. That was just a whistle-stop tour around some farms in Turkey. We saw the dairy place, the research centre, the puppies, and this meat production farm here, just a normal farm basically, where they finish lambs in the shed, like a lot of farms do at home as well. Nice sheep, nice setup. Interesting to hear your thoughts on what you've seen today. Very quick, short, sharp, sweet. Really interesting for me, and thanks to SAC and Eurosheep for inviting me along here to see this stuff and to learn a lot more about farming out with Scotland and the UK. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you for the next one.